Hello, this is Professor Kim Nelson with the Jewelry Design Department at FIT. Another tutorial in our series of tutorials for jewelry modeling in Rhino. This tutorial I'm going to discuss, or demonstrate, I should say, how to make a ring maquette for design purposes. Basically a three-dimensional sketch that you will then convert into 2D line work for further work in 2D design for sketching and presentation renderings and such. So I'm going to bring in a stone. In this case, I will bring in a 8x6 oval. Sorry for the pause. I just needed to find where I put the stone. Should be here. Right here. Okay. I don't need the drawing, I only need the stone. So here's a stone. Begin preparation, I'm going to draw the front view of the ring shank. Ring shank's going to be a standard 17 millimeter diameter bore. So circle center radius. Origin is at 0, diameter is at 17. Going to offset this ring bore 2 millimeters. That's a good standard ring shank thickness. In order to get a nice swell on the shank so it starts thinner under the finger and expands up over the shoulder, I'm going to move this outer profile curve up 0.3 millimeters. Okay. The command sequence for that, I'm sorry, because I can never be sure which level of training we'll be using this video in. To move this up, I'm using M-Enter for move. I use relative movement, so I don't drag anything. I hit M-Enter. I click anywhere in the viewport I want. And my movement is only 2 pick points, a beginning point and an end point. The rest of it's all relative. I want it to move 0.3, so I'll constrain the distance by typing in 0.3 in the command line. Now I can move this outer profile any way I want to, in any direction, but it will always be 0.3. I want it to move straight up, so I'm going to constrain the movement of my cursor again by holding the Shift key. And now I can only move it in 90-degree intervals. I'm going to move it straight up and click. Doesn't matter how far up and down I move the marker. It's irrelevant. As you can see down here by the cursor and the start point, that distance has already been constrained to 0.3 millimeters. So I can click anywhere up here. And I have the outline of my ring shank. I want my ring shank to be 3 millimeters wide. To do that, I'm going to do extrusion, surface tools, extrude straight. I want both sides option on. It should say yes, but you can also see that it's rubber banding on both sides away from the outline. And solid yes, which will put caps on each end. I don't want to pick a point here, I want to type in a distance, so in the command line I'll type in 1.5. That'll extrude 1.5 millimeters in each direction for a total width of 3 millimeters. That shank is completed for maquette purposes. Now I need to do a center line. I want a center line going each direction on this shank that I can use as a design reference when I'm drawing later in 2D, either with a pencil or in a graphics program. Going to use section tool to get this section tool. I pull this tool bar off to the side in Rhino when I'm working. You normally find it here as a cascade, a pop out from the curve from objects button, and then I always just take mine and set it over to the side here, and then I drag it over so I have enough room to see them all. section tool. Now it's important when you do section tool that you pre-select the geometry. So I'm going to pre-select what I want a section of. I hit the section tool. It's just going to ask for a start and an end, which will create like a slicing plane through the object. I'm going to use grid snap so I can center this and make it straight. Pick below and above, pick to left, pick to right, enter when done. There's my shank. I'm going to bring my stone back. I'm going to move my stone up into position. In this particular assignment, I want the stone vertical along the finger, so I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. So I always pre-select before I do a command, a transform or anything like that. So I pre-select the stone, transform, rotate, center of rotation 0, angle 90. Now I may want to do prongs on this stone, and if that's the case, I can put in maquettes for those prongs as well. We'll do that by making spheres, solid, sphere, and I want to put them normally at the point of, or where would be the point of these bezel facets. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to try 1.1 in diameter and see if I think that's too big. It's a little big. Take a look at 0.9. 0.9 is a little small. 0.95. And you're the designer here, students, so you'll decide what is an appropriate size. But to my eye, 0.95 looks pretty good. I could probably go 1 millimeter. Okay. Going to mirror this around. F2 is our mirror shortcut, or you can get it from the transform menu. Mirror. Start of mirror plane 0, and then hold the shift key and pull straight out. My maquette is now completed. Last thing I need to do is to Boolean all of these pieces together so that Rhino can draw their intersections. If you do not have a clean joint created through a Boolean, Rhino will get confused where these surfaces intersect each other and fail to draw what you might need to see there. So, I'm going to do a union. That is the completed maquette. All I need now is to have Rhino draw it. The challenge is, I mean, drawing it's easy enough. You just select everybody and go under dimensioning, make 2D drawing, select current view and hit OK. And Rhino's happy to draw it for you. Okay? Problem is it won't be actual size. Nothing in 3/4 view is actual size. Rhino has no point of reference for it. So, to give us a feature that we can plot to get actual size, we're going to put a sphere, once again, right in the middle of our shank. So we're going to 0 for the origin point, and we're going to make that a 10 millimeter diameter sphere. And now we can rotate our shank, our maquette, to wherever we want it. Select all, dimension, make 2D drawing, current view, hit OK. When the drawing is complete, you want to Control G, group. You can also get that here under the edit menu, group. Okay. That way it's easy to select that entire drawing or deselect it at will. I'm going to turn off the layer holding the sphere. It's important not to shift or revolve this view at all, because if you do, you will not get the same drawing. Okay? Going to select everything again. I'm going to hold down the Control key and deselect the drawing I just made and make another 2D drawing. Current view. And it should land it almost directly on top of the last one. I'm going to group that as well. Control G. And I have those drawings. Now, I'd also like to do a couple where I'm looking primarily at the front of the ring, something like this. So once again, I'll Control A. I'll hold down the Control button and do a crossing selection to deselect the drawings. Make 2D drawing. OK. Group. And I will need one of those that has the sphere in it. So Control A again. Deselect all those flat drawings because we don't want to get those caught up. And make 2D drawing again. Current view. And group. Control G. So that's all of the drawings we need. I'm now going to turn off the maquette. And I'm going to go from 3/4 view to top view. When you're laying out drawings to be exported from Rhino in any way, shape, or form, you need to start working from an orthographic view. So we're going to do this in the top view. Here, Rhino can get accurate dimensions easily. I'm going to draw a circle, center radius, starting at 0, 10 millimeters diameter. This is an actual 10 millimeter circle, which is quite a bit larger than this 10 millimeter circle. I'm going to actually move this drawing out from the others so that it's easy for me to access. I'm going to orient it 2 points. Remember, the orient transform allows you to move, rotate, and scale simultaneously, which was what we'll be doing here. We want to make sure that we don't have a copy option active, but we do have scaling. So change scaling from no, if yours says no in the command line, to 3D. And then it'll ask you for 2 reference points and 2 target points. The 2 reference points are what the geometry is now. The 2 target points are what you want it to become. We're going to be using this circle as our pick points, as our reference. So obviously I can see a whole circle here. I can only see a piece of a circle here. To make it work, I'm going to need to use 2 snaps, a center and a quad. To get the center of that circle, if I touch anywhere along its edge, its circumference, I will get a center point. Click. The second pick point, reference number 2, will be a quad. Target number 1 will be center again. And target number 2 is quad. And now this drawing is actual size. Move this drawing out to where I can see it clearly. I'm going to repeat the command, orient 2 points. I can pick any 2 pieces of geometry that are visible in both of these drawings. For this, I'm going to go over to end snap. In this case, I'm just going to grab the 2 ends here for my reference, and then these 2 for my target. And that drawing is now actual size. I'm going to delete the one that has the ball, the sphere. This drawing is complete. There is a small issue. You can see that Rhino could not finish this prong for us. For some reason it got confused. Easiest way to fix that would be either a blend curve or an extend by arc to point. Blend curve is the most consistently successful. Just do a quick blend. Grab here, grab there. And make it the same layer as the drawing, which is layer 1. Okay. I'm going to actually grab those and group them together just so I don't leave that piece behind. So this drawing is ready. I'll move it out of the way using grid snap so I can always get it back in the exact same position if I want to. Now this drawing needs to be oriented to actual size. So pick the one with the sphere or ball in the center. Orient 2 points. Make sure Scale 3D is still active. Reference point 1. In this case now I can just use quad snap. because I can see the full quadrants. Do want to turn off grid snap because it'll become annoying in a minute here. Quad, quad, target, quad, quad. And same thing for positioning. This drawing, all I need is 2 lines or intersections that I can grab. This time I think I'll use a facet. So orient 2 points. This facet line, beginning and end. The same facet line, beginning and end. That's now actual size. Select the 3D drawing, the 3/4 view drawing with the sphere. Delete it and keep this one that does not. I'm going to go ahead and set these up for a layout for creative sketching, and I think in this case I will. Sorry, I want to copy that, not move it. Copy, use grid snap, and I really don't need to have that circle. Copy again. Now, it is important to know that if you want to know how big this is going to be on your paper, how you can calculate that in Rhino. This Rhino space is set to millimeters right now. Let's say you want to put it on our standard painter drawing template, which is 6 inches by 6 inches, and you want to make sure they're going to fit. You can get a square 6 inches by 6 inches in Rhino by drawing a square. I'll draw a rectangle from center. Start at 0, and I'm going to type in 6 by 6. And then I'm going to scale this up to 6 inches. And to do that, transform scale. Origin point is 0. And then I'm going to go 25.4 because there are 25.4 millimeters to an inch. That's a 6-inch box. Okay, so I know now how many of these I can fit. Going to loosen up the layout a little bit. And I could add another row without much difficulty. Should have copied that and not moved it. I could fit another one up top if I wanted to, but I think the better use would be to give it a little more space. Move. Move. And move. Okay. That will fit all of those easily on into a 6 by 6 inch square. And this is complete. The Rhino portion of this is finished. I did specify in the homework assignment associated with this specific video that you were to bring them to me in Adobe Illustrator format, which is the format that we use for taking Rhino information in and out of other programs. So to do that, we're going to select everything, and we're going to File, Export Selected. We're going to find a location where you want to put it. And you want to pick Adobe Illustrator from the drop-down list. And save. Now the important thing is, once again, make sure you're in top view when you do this so that you have good orthographic viewport that will give you accurate dimensions. Rhino's defaults are always this. when you first open it. This is the Rhino default. We don't want any of that. We do not want a snapshot. That means Rhino will just make it this size, whatever this size looks like. We want actual model scale. And Rhino, for some reason, always goes to inches here. We want 1 millimeter to equal 1 inch. That only makes sense. We want it actual size. 1 millimeter equals 1 inch. Rhino, normally it's set to RGB, so this should be fine. If it's not RGB, then you need to make sure that it is, because CMYK doesn't work well on PC computers. So there you go. Hit OK, and it's gone. Okay, it's finished. Now, if you wish to print this directly out of Rhino, that would be a separate tutorial. So I'll cover that at another time. But for now, that should set us up, and I appreciate your watching.